The old man collapsed beside the highway just as a line of roaring motorcycles thundered past. Drivers slowed down, some stared, a few kept moving, but one biker slammed on his brakes so hard that gravel scattered across the pavement. What happened in the next few months would transform two broken lives and leave an entire town in tears. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more uplifting stories to people around the world. The story began on a cool autumn afternoon outside a small town near Tulsa, Oklahoma. 82-year-old Harold Bennett, a retired Army veteran, had spent most of his life serving others. He had served his country, raised a family, worked hard, and quietly helped neighbors whenever they needed him. But life had changed dramatically in recent years. His wife, Margaret, had passed away after 54 years of marriage. His only son had moved across the country for work. The little house that had once been filled with laughter now felt painfully silent. Harold lived alone, surviving on a modest pension and the memories that filled every room. Despite his age, he remained determined to maintain his independence. Every week he walked to a nearby store, refusing to burden anyone. On that particular afternoon, however, the long walk proved too much. Halfway home, exhausted and dizzy, he lost his balance and collapsed near the roadside. The biker who stopped was named Caleb Walker. At first glance, many people would have judged him instantly. He was heavily tattooed, wore a black leather vest displaying the patch of a Hells Angels chapter, and looked intimidating enough to make strangers cross the street. Yet beneath the rough exterior was a man carrying wounds of his own. Caleb had spent years battling regret after losing his younger brother in a car accident. Since then, he had struggled to find purpose. While many assumed the worst about him because of his appearance, few knew he regularly volunteered at food drives and quietly helped struggling families whenever he could. When Caleb saw Harold lying on the ground, he immediately pulled over. He knelt beside the elderly man, checked that he was breathing, and called for medical assistance. While waiting for help to arrive, he stayed beside him, shielding him from the afternoon sun and offering reassurance. Harold was taken to a local hospital, where doctors confirmed he had suffered severe dehydration and exhaustion. Most people would have considered their encounter finished. Caleb did not. Several days later, he returned to the hospital carrying a small American flag and a handwritten card thanking Harold for his military service. The elderly veteran was stunned. Visitors had become rare. The simple gesture touched him more deeply than Caleb could have imagined. Over the following weeks, Caleb continued visiting. What began as occasional check-ins slowly developed into an unlikely friendship. They shared stories about life, loss, mistakes, and dreams that never fully disappeared. Harold spoke about his years in uniform and his devotion to Margaret. Caleb shared the pain of losing his brother and the loneliness he often felt despite always being surrounded by people. As winter approached, Caleb noticed the condition of Harold's aging home. The roof leaked during storms. The porch sagged dangerously. Several appliances barely worked. Harold had quietly accepted these hardships because he could not afford repairs. Without telling Harold, Caleb decided to do something extraordinary. He reached out to fellow bikers, local churches, veterans groups, and small businesses throughout the community. At first, some people were skeptical. They questioned why a biker associated with a notorious motorcycle club would lead such an effort. But Caleb remained focused on one goal, helping a veteran who had spent his life helping others. Something remarkable happened. One by one, people joined. Carpenters donated labor. Hardware stores donated supplies. Veterans volunteered their time. Church members prepared meals. Within days, dozens of people arrived at Harold's home ready to work. When Harold returned from a routine medical appointment and saw the crowd gathered outside his house, he could hardly believe his eyes. The worn roof was being replaced. Fresh paint brightened the walls. Broken steps were being rebuilt. Neighbors he barely knew were smiling and waving as they worked together. For the first time in years, Harold felt something he thought he had lost forever: belonging. The project continued for several weeks. By Christmas, the transformation was complete. Yet Caleb had one final surprise planned. A large community gathering was organized at the town hall. Residents, veterans, church leaders, and volunteers filled the room. Harold believed he was simply attending a holiday celebration. Instead, he walked into a room covered with photographs from his life. Pictures from his military service, his wedding day, family gatherings, and community events decorated the walls. In the center stood his son, Nathan, whom he had not seen in nearly 3 years. Caleb had secretly contacted Nathan months earlier. After hearing about his father's struggles and learning how much he missed him, Nathan arranged time away from work and traveled home. The moment father and son embraced, many people in the room wiped away tears. Years of distance seemed to disappear in an instant. Harold's hands trembled as he held his son close, overwhelmed by gratitude. Before we reach the ending, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment sharing a time when an unexpected act of kindness changed someone's life. Your story may inspire another viewer today. As the evening continued, community leaders honored Harold's service and thanked everyone who had contributed to the project. But the most emotional moment came when Harold stood to speak. Looking around the room, he realized that a stranger many people had judged unfairly had become the reason his life changed forever. Caleb had not only repaired a house. He had rebuilt hope. Months later, Harold's home remained filled with visitors, laughter, and friendship. Nathan began visiting regularly. Caleb continued stopping by every week. Their bond became a symbol of unity throughout the town. People who once believed they had nothing in common learned that compassion could bridge any divide. And if this story touched your heart, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends and family, and leave a comment below. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the power to change a life. Harold often said that heroes do not always arrive wearing uniforms. Sometimes they arrive on motorcycles, carrying their own scars, searching for purpose. On the day he collapsed beside that highway, he thought he was completely alone. Instead, he discovered that hope can appear from the most unexpected places. And in helping one elderly veteran, a biker found healing too. Their friendship reminded an entire community that compassion is stronger than judgment, that second chances are real, and that one simple act of kindness can create a ripple that lasts for years.